the San Francisco 49ers. Last year's QB3 is now QB1. What is your confidence level, Peter, in Brock Purdy, the guy that nobody other than the most ardent draft aficionados had even heard of last year at this time?
I think the one thing that people underestimated with Brock Purdy last year is that he started 47 games in a Power 5 conference in college football, and he started them in many games as an underdog. He played in front of huge crowds in Norman, Oklahoma, Austin, Texas. He played big games at Iowa State. So I think from that standpoint, everybody has said, "Oh boy, look at this guy." I mean, what a shock. It's a surprise, certainly, that Mr. Irrelevant comes in, and in the 8 games that he plays 3 quarters or more, he goes 8-0 last year. So I have a lot of confidence he's going to do it again, Mike. I think he's going to have a very, very good year. And as long as he stays healthy and there's no indication whatsoever that his elbow is an issue after his offseason surgery, I think he's going to be fine. But the one thing I would just caution you about, in 4 of the 6 years that Kyle Shanahan has coached this team, 4 of the 6 years, he's had to play 3 different quarterbacks. And
wow,
that means something to me. Because if you think about it, you have to be really confident in your backup quarterback. That backup quarterback is now Sam Darnold. And I get Kyle Shanahan picking Sam Darnold over Trey Lance. I get it. I don't get Kyle Shanahan picking Brandon Allen over Trey Lance. Trey Lance has been in the offense for 2 1/4 years, 2 1/3 years just about, knows it inside and out. It's just hard for me to fathom that they pick Brandon Allen over Trey Lance. And I've heard from a lot of fans, because I wrote in my column on Monday, I did not like this trade from the 49ers' perspective. I didn't like it from Dallas's perspective either. But I really didn't like it from the 49ers' perspective. And the general impression out there is that, hey, Trey Lance is a sunk cost. You've made your decision on him. It's over. And maybe you have. But I guess my question would be, if you were confident enough 11 months ago, to make him the starting quarterback at the beginning of a season of great hope for your franchise, and he gets hurt in the 5th quarter of that season, are you telling me that in the span of not playing any football over the last 10 months, are you telling me that is cause enough to just dump this guy you invested 3 first-round picks for? I don't get it. I just simply don't get it. And I think it's a knee-jerk reaction. Instead of saying to Trey Lance, I know you're disappointed, take a couple days, go out and instead of being really disappointed, gather yourself. We're going to make this work, and we're going to give you some experience during the course of practice weeks. We're going to try to make this right, blah, blah, blah. Now, who knows? Nobody knows what happened behind the scene in that, but I just thought it was a precipitous move by the Niners.
And that's the key. We don't know what happened behind the scenes, but something had to happen to cause them to say, we're done with this guy. And they were thrilled to both unload the remainder of his fully guaranteed contract, $6.3 million combined over the next 2 years, and to get a 4th-round pick for him. The Cowboys much higher than what anybody else was offering, and they were thrilled to get it. That tells me he had fallen, in Kyle Shanahan's mind, behind Brandon Allen on the depth chart. And maybe some of it was just Kyle Shanahan saying, I told you so, to whoever it was that talked him into Lance. Because there's a theory out there that Shanahan wanted Mac Jones after they traded up to number 3, and somebody talked him into Trey Lance. And he didn't want Trey Lance, but he went along with Trey Lance. And now Trey Lance didn't work out, doesn't fit in that offense, hasn't clicked, and I told you so, and we're just dumping this guy. I don't want to spend another minute of my time working with a guy that I don't think is ever going to get it in my offense, and he's never going to be the guy that I need to be. Now, he's putting a lot of eggs in the Brock Purdy basket because he thinks Purdy can be exactly the guy that he needs. Purdy is Kirk Cousins in a good way for Kyle Shanahan. And so he's all in on Purdy. But you're right, they may regret this. We've seen what happens with their quarterbacks. Purdy gets injured. Darnold gets injured. Could have had Trey Lance there, just like last year's QB3.
There will be
ends
never
up coming in and saving the day.
Brandon Allen will have more pressure on him than any third-string quarterback in NFL history if he has to play. That's the simple fact. And by the way, that theory that Kyle Shanahan really didn't want him and got talked into him is bunk. It's crap. It's not true. I talked at length
to more people.
To Shanahan. Hey.
Oh, and he always tells the truth.
Not true. Not true. It just
okay.
Are you telling me then? Are you telling me that someone could have talked Kyle Shanahan into giving 2 additional ones to go up and get Trey Lance? That's crazy.
It
makes no
that's
sense
not how
whatsoever.
It worked. Peter,
None.
That's not how it worked. That's not how it worked. They made the investment, and then they figured out who they were going to get after they made the investment. It was bass backwards from the start. Hey, let's go up to get to number 3, because here's my theory. Just indulge me here. He saw in Super Bowl 55 the guy he refused to scout in Patrick Mahomes because he was determined to get Kirk Cousins a year later. That's a fact. And then he played in the Super Bowl. He played in the Super Bowl against the guy who wanted to come home and play for the 49ers, and they said, "Get out of here, old man. You don't have it anymore." Shanahan saw those 2 guys in the Super Bowl play each other, and in the aftermath of that, he got desperate. And they traded up to that spot not knowing who they were going to take. And I believe, based on everything I've heard, when they made that trade, he wanted Mac Jones. Now, maybe he changed his own mind, but something changed.
He
From
did.
when they made that trade
his own mind.
to the when they went. Not that Mac Jones is on pace to be in the Hall of Fame, but we don't know what Mac Jones would be in the 49ers offense.
I think he'd be really, really good. And I think it's been a mistake. You know, what they did. It's a huge
Why did he
mistake.
change his mind? I'm curious about this. We got to take a break.
I don't know. I don't know.
Talk to Shanahan about it.
I mean, he changed his mind going from Mac Jones to Trey Lance because he saw enough at North Dakota State to be convinced that he could be the kind of move quarterback that he believes quarterbacks need to be in football in 2021, whatever year it was. I think that's very clearly why he made the decision to pick Trey Lance over Mac Jones.
And I think it all goes back to Mahomes. He didn't look Mahomes' way because he thought, I don't need that mobility. I don't need that
Mac Jones is not Mahomes.
Creativity.
Mac Jones,
right.
Trey Lance has Mahomes traits. And, you know,
That's
everybody's going to laugh. Oh, yeah, you know. What I'm saying is he's got the mobility that Mahomes has. Mac Jones doesn't have nearly the mobility that Trey Lance has.
Kyle Shanahan's offense is premised on the quarterback doing exactly what Shanahan wants. And if the quarterback does exactly what Shanahan wants, drop back, make the reads, throw the ball, you do it the way Shanahan tells you. Shanahan believes his offense, combined with that incredibly great running game, will score points and win games. He decided, I think, based upon Mahomes' success, I need that guy who, in those occasions where my play doesn't work as designed, he can make things happen with his legs. And that's why I think at the end of the day, he changed his mind. Somebody changed his mind. They collaboratively changed his mind. I don't know, but he felt like he needed a Mahomes-style quarterback, and now he's gone back to Purdy. My experiment with the Mahomes-style quarterback is over. I'm going back to Brock Purdy. I'm going back to the guy that drops back, throws the ball, and we won't worry about it. If the walls cave in, we'll just tell him to take a sack or get rid of the football. That's where I think they are.
Well, he goes to Brock Purdy. He goes to Brock Purdy basically out of necessity. Who else is he going to play after the first 2 guys get hurt? And, you know,
right, but
Brock
he loves
Purdy
him now.
Turned
He's
out
worked
to
out
be,
perfectly.
He has. You're right. He's worked out. It's a dream. The only reason that the 49ers are not in the toilet right now is Brock Purdy. And, a lot of people might say, oh, well, they lucked into him. He was the last pick in the draft. Well, maybe, but they picked him. Did the Patriots luck into Tom Brady at 199? Yes, but they picked him. Did the Broncos luck into Terrell Davis in the 7th round? Yeah, but they picked him. And so the fact is, whether you luck into him, however he gets on your team, he's on your team. Coach the heck out of him and coach to his strengths, which is what they've done. Brock Purdy is a guy who's unafraid. He stays in the pocket. He waits until the last possible minute to make a throw. He is gutsy. He's got a good enough arm. And the players on that team really respect him. So if he stays healthy, the 49ers are going places this year. But that's a very big question. And obviously, if they get Nick Bosa back, I'm assuming they will. But, look, my only problem with what happened with Trey Lance is not that they drafted him in the first place, is that they gave up on him 2.25 years after investing 3 first-round picks in him and 11 months after handing him the starting job on a playoff team that they thought could go far.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.